Welcome to today's HFS podcast. I'm Fersht. I'm the CEO and Chief Analyst at HFS Research, and I'm joined today by one of the original founding fathers of RPA, Robotic Process Automation, which is now broadened into AI and automation platforms for enterprises. Mihir Shukla. I think I first met Mihir in about 2013, 2014, and we did our first maturity model assessment back in the day when the industry was much smaller. It was about a year or two old, and it was still very much in its nascency. But now today, 8 years on, things are fairly mature, and it's great to get Mihir out of lockdown California for a good spell of time with us to talk a bit about what's happened this year and what the hell's going to happen next year and beyond. So Mihir, can I ask you to quickly introduce yourself? A little bit about your background would be great as well. Where you came from before AA would be awesome. So
happy to. First of all, Phil, thanks for inviting me. Mihir Shukla, CEO and Chairman of Automation Anywhere. Automation Anywhere, as some of you know, is a recognized leader in the field of RPA, AI, and what is now called an intelligent automation category. Prior to automation, I had an opportunity to take few companies from zero to multi-billion dollar, about 4 or 5 of them in a different role, of course. One of my first recognizable name was Netscape, and then search engines, and then e-commerce, and then smartphones. All of them had a very meaningful impact in our lives. That leads me to the most exciting category today, which is RPA and AI.
Excellent, thank you for that. So the reason I asked you for that is you're not doing this really for the money, are you? You're doing this for different reasons, right?
I think anything that has to work in a long run has to work in a commercial model. That goes without saying. But I think it's other impact of having a lasting impact on the world as we know it, liberating human intellect. I think creating a next platform where people can do anything on it that is possible, right, is an amazing outcome as well.
Excellent. And it's great to hear the technologies that you've been involved with over the last 20 odd years. So, love to know a bit more about the real you. I remember I think it was last year, I think you'd been on the road for about 10 years straight or something, probably longer. And we all heard that you disappeared to the Everest boot camp for like a week or two just to get some solace and some peace.
That's right. And
still taking calls.
I'm surprised you remember. As you mentioned, I went to the Everest base camp and hiked there for around 7-8 days, went up to nearly 19,000 feet of height. It gives you a new perspective. When you are living with bare necessities, no restrooms, half the oxygen of what you normally have, it keeps you grounded and it gives you new perspectives. Also, going to places like this exposes you to the local cultures. People live in very different ways, very different than ours. And it just broadens your horizons. I like that. So.
And would you say your perspective has changed at all since March this year in terms of what you want to do yourself, the industry, the purpose you have? Do you think things have changed in your own mind, your own heart?
I think if anything, pandemic has brought the need for digital transformation even more in highlight. The urgency of a digital transformation is more. Everything we knew of how we worked and all the limitations have been magnified during this time. So it reminds us again how important it is to continue this transformation that we are talking about. I'll say it this way. I think when you talk to your customers and partners during this last 6 months, it was eye-opening. I'll give a specific example. For NHS in UK, what we were able to do in early part of the pandemic with ventilators, and even today by monitoring amount of oxygen that goes on a ventilator machines, or for airlines to cancel and reschedule thousands and thousands of travels, or for banks to change 6 million mortgages so that people are not delinquent. When you see the impact, some small, some large, that you are able to make in an everyday life, you realize how important it is for us to adopt this technology.
Okay. So what do you think's changed in terms of automation since the early phase where there was a lot of excitement about business users using the applications and building out the first robotic models with processes. What do you think has changed since maybe 6-7 years ago to today in terms of how these technologies are being deployed? Do you think it's anything significant? And do you think there's a very different conversation happening?
That's an excellent question, Phil. I think let's start with what hasn't changed. So the core benefit of RPA remains the same, which is to be able to automate processes you could not automate ever before. And with the power of this technology, you improve customer experience, reduce cost, improve efficiency, and now in current climate, increase resiliency, right? And business continuity. But probably that's the only thing that remains the same because so much has changed in the last six years. So let's focus on what changed. So the RPA still remains a foundational element of the platform today, but now the platform has so much more. It has AI, ML, analytics, process discovery capability that discovers processes automatically, automation marketplace. It is a holistic, intelligent automation platform that allows you to digitally connect your systems, department, countries, processes together to create a one seamless digital highway. So it has come a long way on that. The second part that has changed is if you just look at its scale of deployment, it has today been deployed in virtually every industry, in virtually every department. Automation Anywhere tracks over 10,000 use cases across every aspect of the world. Right? Such a wide-scale deployment it has come a long way. The third thing that has changed is the entire delivery model. Phil, you may recall that we last year, before pandemic, we introduced our only cloud-native platform, RPA on cloud. We call it A2019. And especially during pandemic, it just took off like anything. In last quarter that we just closed, 2/3 of all new customers came on cloud. And the delivery through cloud, again, customers have a choice today if they want to do on-premise or cloud. But in cloud, the fact that you can get started in 4 minutes or less is a completely new paradigm for our industry.
Yeah. You know, we're seeing a lot more activity in the cloud. It feels like, well, we know this, that a lot of decisions are being made higher up the food chain in enterprises now. So they have to make a bigger flip because a lot of the stuff didn't get moved into the cloud 10 years ago. They're now having to do that now because you really can't function as a virtual organization if you haven't cloudified your processes. And as you have to cloudify your processes, you have to automate them. It's a native discipline that you must get on top of, or you can't actually operate in the cloud effectively. Now, as you look at the new types of customers that are emerging, the one thing that we think is driving them a bit is they've had to go through some forced transformation already, just moving everything into a work-at-home environment. They've had to look at customer processes, employee processes, front to back, and actually start to make some shifts. And you know, we've been hearing some far more sophisticated discussion from clients now compared to a year ago on process redesign, looking at new ways of doing things that are going to make them effective. Because their strategy is now data, right? They need to have data that's going to help them make better decisions than their competitors, how to anticipate moves down the road, that sort of thing. So where does that leave like your RPA type products, automation platforms? Are they moving up the value chain with, you know, with the process design? Do you think that decisions are now being made higher up the company food chain on automation itself?
Yes, let me dissect those questions one by one. The decisions are definitely made higher up on the food chain. Phil, I have the luxury of hearing from about 4,000 CXOs that are our customers. And in the first 6 weeks of the pandemic, what I heard from every CXO was our digital strategy of 2023 or even 2025, we are pulling it forward. So the decisions made at a higher level up is to pull the entire digital strategy forward and to accelerate it because of all the disruption they have on supply side, demand side, workforce side. And the conversation, as you mentioned, is a lot more sophisticated now. It is about intelligent automation end to end that includes many other pieces of technology. So take an example of AI. Today in Automation Anywhere, AI is infused in every single part of the product modules. Every single, whether you look at RPA, it's AI specific modules, it's process discovery module that allows you to automatically discover processes with help of AI and redesign processes. It is infused across the board, right? And the data that this entire system generates, and that data feeds back into AI, allowing AI to be even better, producing more data. This virtuous cycle is the new digital enterprise platform. And that is one of the reasons so many customers come to us for a digital transformation.
So it's fascinating to see the speed of change. Do you think we're going to be calling this RPA for much longer now? Because it feels like, the world has moved beyond, that specific type of activity into something broader. Like, this really is the digital plumbing to pivot businesses, right? Or do you think we're staying with the same terminology and it's going to be rigid for a while? Or do you think we're definitely moving now in a whole new direction when it comes to the digital workforce and automation?
I'd love to answer that, Phil, but I'd love to hear it from you as well. You are the one who called it RPA. What are you seeing? What are you hearing from customers? How the conversation has changed? And I'm happy to answer the question.
Yeah, I think before COVID, about 10 to 12% of customers really did get RPA technology, and they really went heavy with it, and we're using hundreds, even thousands of bot runners, right, to make things operate, and especially shared services, companies like P&G, GE, were really getting to grips with this. Then many other businesses were using it in very siloed, piecemeal projects, but not really, the whole adage of scale. They didn't get past 4 or 5 bots, that sort of thing. Now it is a real use in transformation, especially where you need to link systems together that have real API issues, right? They can't just be linked together in the right way, particularly in, mainframes, green screens. So trying to get things in the cloud, it's taking on a whole new usage. It's a real piece of transformation that can help stitch things together, make things work effectively. Even if it's temporary, it's still got an incredible uses to it. So I think it is becoming more practical in its usage. It's becoming more focused on the front end, which I find exciting. I've seen much more engagement with commerce, with advanced, digital associates and chatbots. I see a coming together of technologies in this automation paradigm, where we've got RPA, we've got just data automation, we have APIs, we have machine learning being used a lot more prevalently as well. So I think we've got a whole potpourri of tech that can really help us move into the right direction, and RPA is one very, very strong tool within that. Now, what I think is the shift that's going on is the strategy is to drive data, to drive success. That's the strategy. Automation is a native attitude that you have to have as an organization to enable your processes to function in the cloud, to produce the data you need, to embrace AI, to make it more self-remediating. So it's the execution, it's the attitude, it's something you have to have. It's not necessarily the strategy. I don't think you're going to have automation professionals running around the place. It's something everybody needs to be able to do and understand. Everybody needs to figure out how to automate things ultimately, not just rely on some little COE, that sort of thing. So we're starting to see maturing of the industry and the usage of the technology. It's part of a very important transformation. And automation in general is becoming an incredibly important discipline to make companies work anywhere, live from anywhere, work from anywhere. It's absolutely core, it's absolutely critical. Names may change. RPA may start to fade away because it's not necessary as much. Robotic, it's, and that may be where the change happens. And it's the infusion of the platform, which is the next phase. And what excites me is when I see Automation Anywhere, you're building a platform where you have a core of RPA and process automation, and you're building around that And when I saw you last, you were presenting your RE capability, the front to back one office story, which made us very proud. At the same time, you were really trying to position yourselves as a platform rather than a technology. And I'd love to hear a bit more from your perspective on what is the thinking behind that and where do you see that evolving?
I fully agree with you that the automation will become way of life for everywhere. So think about internet or mobile phones. When they earlier came, some of us had an internet division or a mobile division. Now that's just how the world works. It's everywhere. So new category starts by having a specific center of excellence, and then eventually it goes across the organization. So fully agree with you. Phil, I remember this article you wrote probably a few years ago on One Office, where the front office and back office has to come together for a true digital transformation. The One Office is the vision. And that is the same passion we are driving for last many years. For a true digital transformation, you need to bring the front office and back office together. Only then your customer experiences are digital. Otherwise, it's just a digital project. It's not a digital transformation. And today, Automation Anywhere does that very uniquely, and we are the only one who can bring those two silos together. You asked me about RE, and we are very excited about what RE brings to the organizations. RE stands for Automation Anywhere Robotic Interface, but it is your digital assistant at work. Think about this, Phil. We now have digital assistants in our personal lives, whether it is Alexa, Siri, or Google Home. Why don't we have a digital assistant at work? Everybody at our work is valuable, and we all deserve and we would love to have a digital assistant. Why don't we have one? And that is the problem RE solves. RE brings the power of, so that it makes every knowledge worker in your organization can now, through a digital assistant, access the power of RPA, AI, ML, discovery bots, automation of a marketplace. All the technologies underneath are now accessible to the masses through the power of a digital assistant. And I believe this would be a game changer in how we think about it. If you look at our innovations on cloud, they made anyone in an organization who wants to develop a bot can develop a bot in 4 minutes or less, right? So that solved the access issue for anybody who wants to create a bot. With RE, everyone in an organization can use a bot. That is impactful. It has to reach hundreds and thousands of people.
So in terms of then adoption scale, I know it was always the frustration in the old days of getting companies past certain numbers. Are you seeing now you're getting this into the cloud, a faster rate of scale adoption, or is it still fairly early days to really assess where that's going?
I think, as I mentioned, in 2 weeks, 2/3 of all our new customers choose to go on a cloud. We have a choice still, right? They choose to go on a cloud. If you had asked me 6 months ago, would a cloud transition happen this fast? I would have said no. But I think pandemic has accelerated cloud adoption. Now I can tell you it is, with this data, I think within very short period of time, this will be a completely different ballgame. Because the speed at which cloud delivers the value, the fact that employees can access it from anywhere, which is very important this time, the fact that it could infinitely scale and meet the demands of the business as it fluctuates in today's environment, all of those benefits means that the adoption will reach unprecedented heights of cloud, and because of the cloud, the technology platform itself. Just give you one example, Phil. On our website today, you can come digitally, go on a website, click the buy button, buy the platform. It will be automatically provisioned, touchless experience. In 4 minutes or less, you are on to start developing bots. Completely digital experience that a customer can experience. Imagine the amount of friction removed from 6 years ago or even like 2 years ago. You couldn't do that.
Yeah, we're in a world now where you have to embrace change, not try and resist it. And the conversations we've had with, in fact, we had one with AA recently with about 30 customers. The sophistication level of the discussion has completely changed in the course of 1 year. The experience level has changed. The strategic level has changed. While we've been through a painful period in the world, what we have been through is a rapid maturation of adopting enabling technology, but only those that you have to have. Clients will invest once they know where their North Star is, where they know where they're going. They will invest in technologies that will help them get there. If they still haven't formulated a strategy, they're going to struggle. And that's why it's so important with technologies like RPA, is to have that ROI out there, really demonstrate this is something you have to have to get into this virtual work from anywhere world that we're going into. And it's tough because not every developer knows how to use this stuff. Not every company is familiar with this stuff, but they're having to learn quickly because it is incredibly helpful when you're moving 20-year, 30-year-old technology. You're trying to move fast. The whole adage is, it doesn't have to be the best, it just has to be good enough. It has to get you there, it has to work, it has to function, it has to be secure and all that sort of thing. So it just has been a very, very fast-moving change in mindsets on how we adopt and how we interact.
2 years from now, if you look back, you will find that companies who use these new technologies and adopted and accelerated fast will set themselves apart from their peers. This is the 2 years where the maximum change will occur, and those who accelerate, I think that famous line about that the races are won on the curves, not on the straight roads, and this is the biggest bend on the road, if you will. And people who are accelerating their digital transformation journey during this time will come out very differently.
Yeah. I think one of the things I heard this week, one of the big online music streaming companies, they really felt that the standardization in the cloud was changing the whole dynamic between technology and business within their own organization. Because suddenly you have to do it the way that Amazon, Microsoft, Google sell it to you. There's no code that needs to be written at this point. It's a standard product, and it's forcing the IT community to really understand the business context behind what they're doing. And at the same time, the business community is having to develop much closer links with the IT guys to really get this functioning, make sure it's secure, make sure it's accessible. So it really feels like we've been talking about this interplay between business and tech for 40 years. We really are at an inflection point now where you need to have this digital fluency on either side of the fence to understand the context and the enablement capabilities of where we're going. And seeing this coming together, we're seeing it in leaps and bounds at this point. I think when we emerge from this pandemic, economy, recession, whatever we're in, we're going to be in a world where technology is viewed very, very differently at the heart of the business, that is to enable real business issues. And there's a common understanding between tech and business people now and what they need. So,
Phil, from our perspective, there are 4 things that we started investing in 2 years ago and announced it last year, some of them. Take example of a cloud delivery model. We obviously had no idea a pandemic would come. The second was a discovery bot, so that you can automatically identify processes again from your web browser and begin to automate them very quickly. Third was the AI infusion across every part of our platform. And fourth is the introduction of RE, the digital assistant at work. Those are all long-term bets made many years ago that came in last year and some this year. Now, if you look today from a pandemic perspective, all of them are must-have. You cannot have an intelligent automation platform without those pieces. Just the fact that all of us work from home and the work-life balance that some of us are experiencing, you need the digital assistant at work today. If you are a call center agent and you talk to them and what is happening in call center environment today, you couldn't wait another week for a digital assistant.
Yeah, you could not. And now we're at a different inflection point. So it's been very interesting to start to think with you through where we are. The speed of change has been just breathtaking, and we look at ourselves and maybe ways that we're improving our own lives as a result of this. What's been keeping you sane this year? I mean, being locked in for a lot of it, being, off the road, traveling. What have you been doing to keep yourself mentally healthy and physically healthy and happy and energized, Mihir?
That's a good question, Phil. I think in some sense, on a personal life, it hasn't been an easy year for any one of us because there's a lot of change. Three kids at home. Our schools aren't working. They're still studying from home. We have losses in the extended family. We lost people to COVID. Working a lot harder. All of those challenges true for every family and ours. But look, I never thought I could tuck my daughters in bed and be CEO of automation anywhere at the same time every day of the week, and it has come true. So there is some bright spot there. The way you keep yourself sane is you look at others, right? You look at the world and you realize the pain a lot of our customers, partners, communities are going through. And in all of that, our ability to make an impact, I shared with you some of the things we did for NHS or for airlines or for banks or insurance companies and healthcare supply chain. The more and more you realize how much impact you are able to create, some small, some very large, it not only keeps you sane, it gives you new energy because you realize how relevant this is. So when you think that way, it puts things in perspective. I think getting off the road and the planes helps, but it hasn't slowed. This pace hasn't slowed down. If anything, it has accelerated.
It certainly has. I mean, I'll finish up my section with digital is about doing everything faster, cheaper, more efficiently, more profitably, and more competitively. And it's quick, it's done, it's next. There's more of it. It's once you figure out working in that everything to that model, it's incredible.
Phil, I'd mentioned that with everything we have seen so far and done so far, I think 5 years ahead, you have nearly $1 trillion of workloads and business processes delivered through cloud. Look, I don't have a crystal ball to say whether it's 3 years, 5 years, or 7 years, but that's going to happen. You are not going to continue to deliver value the way we do it today. Although we are leading it with our cloud delivery model, everybody is going to follow. Everybody is going to take it. There is the direction to take this path. Imagine $1 trillion of services and products delivered in our space through cloud. I am telling you, we haven't seen anything yet. If you think about that future that is ahead, of course we have to deliver it. We have to take our customers and partners on that journey, but it's coming.
I absolutely think it will. I think there's going to be a complete delineation between effort and people, and businesses will run completely automatically, and people will create a tremendous differentiation in how you work with companies and how you work with services and products and different things. But I think people's empathy, their ability to collaborate, that's going to be the differentiator in the future.
Absolutely right.
People like to work with people. And the automation is making everything else that we didn't want to do run for us.
Imagine if every employee in the organization has digital assistant. You are adding 30%, 40% capacity to their workforce, and more importantly, people are doing what they are best at, which is even a bigger acceleration in this journey.
Yeah.
Very transformative things await us. They don't happen immediately within few months, few quarters, but you see it happening at a rapid pace.
Absolutely. Well, it's been fantastic. Seeing you looking so well, and hearing the energy and everything that's going on with you guys. And I miss some of your great conferences. You guys were very good at doing those imagined things on stage. Even though you did a good one digitally. And that was a big piece of the industry. And I think that'll come back eventually as well. We can all can talk again and get excited about it.
Although our digital event had 10 times more audience. We missed the in-person interaction, of course, but just the reach was unbelievable this time. So pros and cons.
Yeah, and it's getting used to it. They're making them more interesting, exciting. You need better speakers, celebrities, all that stuff now. But yeah, it's we're all figuring it out, and we're all figuring out life and what's going to happen next to our families and our friends and our colleagues and all this sort of stuff. But I honestly believe that when we get to next year, the fog is going to lift on this thing.
I agree. I think at least this month, it feels like worst is behind us in a sense. There seems to be light at the end of the tunnel, right? With the news of the vaccines coming out, I know it will take a while to put it in the hands of everybody, but it feels that way. That doesn't mean infections are in control, so that we still have to watch for it. But yeah, you can see the end in sight at least.
Well, the fact that the first two 90% successful gives us a lot of hope that at least they're going to be somewhat effective to possibly very effective, and they'll just continue to evolve and get better. But this virus could be around with us forever. It's one of these new things, and we just have to learn to vaccinate ourselves against it, like H1N1, and live with it eventually. So the lessons coming out of this, though, are going to be unbelievable. Like, everybody has made mistakes everywhere. Governments are confused. Like, it's money and lives. The decisions that are being made. It's incredible.
But Phil, think about it. Every one of these challenges have moved us forward in a large scheme of things, right? So if you look at effects of 9/11, completely different security infrastructure that we have on every physical and digital and every aspect of it. If you look at the financial crisis, completely different set of regulations that we need. At the end of it, we came out stronger. At the end of this, I think one of the mandate for every board and a CXO is about business resiliency. We know that these things, I hope it does not, but could happen again. And it will create new systems, processes, new intelligent automation platforms that are more resilient to run your businesses. And it will eventually drive us to take us to a better place.
It will. I'm sure it will. And everything we developed in the last 10 years will be incredibly useful and actually working at a much bigger scale and capability very, very soon. So
yeah, as I like to say it, I think I say let's not get back to normal, because there are parts of normal that was not great in the first place. There are some we missed, but there are parts of it that we realize were so inefficient. Let's go to a better place.
Yeah. No more waiting around, and as much as this has been a painful year for us as an analyst, I've never been as busy in my entire life.
Is that right?
It's like I founded this company 10 years ago. I would blow through the night sometimes, doing the game sometimes, working half the night, all the night, because it's so exciting what's going on, and finding time to get stuff done is getting harder. But you just gotta keep energized, keep focused, and enjoy what you do. But it's very exciting when you start.
Watching you are a disruptor yourself. You have often taken a different approach in your own business. Not to mention, in all of our business, you have always been a thought leader. Maybe on a different podcast, I can interview you, and you can tell me how you are reimagining analyst business.
Yeah, well. I don't want to give my secret away right now, but I look forward to that very much, and I hope to see you soon, me here personally, maybe early next year, March, April time.
Likewise. Are you going to start traveling once you get a vaccine?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so then it's just a matter of which one of us gets it first, and we'll see you.
Yeah, there we go.
All right.
Have a great weekend, and I look forward to talking again in person as well very soon.
Thank you, Phil. Nice seeing you.
Yeah.
Bye.